What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're doing round 2 of this mock draft. So if you guys are new, feel free to check out round 1. I'll be doing a quick recap of it right here if you guys want to stay here anyway. But if you guys, again, are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Join the community. Again, join the Discord. We're going to be doing a fan mock draft very soon, so you guys don't want to miss out on that because trust me, there's a lot of really great people in there as well. It's going to be a great time. So without further ado, let's do a quick little recap before jumping into round 2. Again, there are some dudes in here that I had to sub, like right here. Like you got like Jalen Jones, for example. It's basically PFF doesn't have them in their top 100. And for people who see the ranks here, this is preseason. I don't know why PFF doesn't have the balls to actually update their rankings. It's a little bit of a nitpick. But Will Anderson, obviously number 1, Bryce Young number 2. You know, again, you guys can go and see the analysis for that. You guys can see all these guys right over here. Will McDonald is not the 12th overall pick. That was Osiris Torrance. That is the guard out of Florida. He's an absolute stud. I said Will Shatley. That's 100% my bad when talking about the Jags. I meant Ben Barch. I don't know why Will Shatley was on the mind, but that's that. Looking again, the Steelers, I'm pretty sure that I chose Jalen Jones, my top cornerback out of Texas A&M, because I remember talking about both Texas A&M backs going in the top 20. Seeing if there's anybody else who was, okay, right here. This is going to be Will McDonald the 4th. So, yeah, no, that guy's a stud. Big fan of Will McDonald, and the rest are accurate. So, you guys can probably see what guys were taken where. Again, if you want to understand fully why, that's why I have an entire 40-minute video essentially talking about that. It probably was closer to 30, based on the fact that I had to go to class. But you guys can go check that out. If you guys want to pick number 32, though, let's continue this mock draft. Again, the Bears, Will Anderson, number 1 overall. You have to go BPA. But now you really have to focus on going after, I want to make sure it's Will. You really have to focus on going after somebody who's going to upgrade the team. Offensive line would be a good option. Here's my problem. None of these guys are worth it. At this moment, none of them are worth it. There's one guy who I'm considering here, and that's Darnell Wright. I'm not there yet with him. Not there. He's still in my top 50, so it is a potential option. Not there just yet. So another position I want to target is wide receiver. And there's a lot of really good guys in this class. And you guys might get mad at this. I'm going to select Tyler Harrell, but it's not him. It's Xavier Hutchinson. The guy, he was my number 1B wide receiver this year, coming into the year, and he has been dominant every single game. He is elusive. He moves differently. You guys will see this guy is a stud, and he's going to continue putting on a scene. And when he runs 4.49, people are going to be like, I thought everyone said he went 4.6. No, he moves so well. He separates so well. His one issue is his release package, which already is improving. But regardless, this guy is going to be great. And I'm telling you, 6'3", 200 pounds, electric with the ball in his hands. He is special. So, big fan there of Xavier Hutchinson. I really do have to show him some love because he's continuing to perform and no one's talking about it. No one. He's putting up touchdowns. He's performing. This guy is worth the hype. Pick number 33. Again, I know you guys, not many of you guys are going to exactly love every single pick, but I want you guys to know that this comes truly from my heart. I'm not going to try to kiss anybody's butt, and honestly, I'm willing to take responsibility if I end up making a bad pick. So let me know what you guys think about that stuff. Pick number 33. I believe we got Noah Sewell as well as Bryce Young. I know we got Bryce Young in the first place, but we got Noah Sewell as well. The guard position, not too bueno at the moment. I really do want to see if there's any guards. Gabe Jackson's been an absolute nightmare. Layden Robinson's been cheeks. This class is not good for interior offensive line, guys. It's not. Darnell Wright's a fun option, but you already have the tackles filled up. So, overall, I don't really think that can help you very much. I think corner is a position you could target. I love that you have Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant out there, but the fact is that you still probably need to get some more help out there. And looking at the guys, Clark Phillips is a really fun one for me. I really do like him a lot, and it's someone who I do kind of feel pulled towards being able to draft. He's not that good in the run game. He is 185 pounds, but he is a slot that can work as a boundary as well. I'm a big fan of him. But somebody who I kind of want to take the potential on, and I know Seattle is willing to deal with personality concerns, Eli Ricks. Brian Branch would be fun, but he's a pure slot only. Eli Ricks might be limited athletically, but his field awareness is incredible. I'm a big fan of that. Whenever you actually feel like you can sense that they actually know what's going on around them, that's a big plus because you can build man coverage skills. You can't exactly develop somebody to be able to sense the field. You can't develop this as much as you can just a technicality. So Eli Ricks, showing him some love. I think that getting some extra DB help never is a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. Pick number 34, we have the Falcons here, and honestly, Drew Dahlman's been ass, but I'm not going to be going and trying to replace Matt Hennessy like that. I would say you still could go after a wide receiver. They did go, if I'm not mistaken, Jalen Carter at number 3 overall, and they have. So, good for you guys. I think edge rusher is not a bad option either. And I'm trying to think back to my edge rankings, and you have a lot of really good guys here. The problem is, I think that there's only one man who deserves the love that he should be getting here. And the only reason he's here and not in the first is because of the fact that, one, he got a little bit injured. He's a little banged up right now. But two, this is his first year in FBS. But this guy pops off. His name is Jared Verse. Yes, so Jared Verse, I'm a huge fan of him. We're going to select the shell of Nick Herbig. But Jared Verse, absolute baller. Again, Florida State edge rusher. He came from Albany. The guy pops off on tape, and he is able to just throw dudes out of his way. Extremely athletic. I'm a big fan. He's right now at number 33, including the injury. So he could definitely jump up into that top 10 if he continues to dominate. He might be back in 1 to 2 weeks as well, from the rumors I've been hearing. So very excited about that. The Browns are sitting here, and you guys have to get wide receiver. Kayshon Boutte is still on the board. He's had a lot of issues at LSU. He hasn't been used very much. He's had some personality concerns with him getting all pissy about his usage. There are legitimate concerns here, but the Browns, as you guys are probably well aware of, tend to disregard those type of concerns. They disregard personality concerns quite a bit. So we're going to be selecting Kayshon Boutte here, having him be the true number 2 to Amari Cooper. I think it's a great move. Again, you're getting BPA, so you can never go wrong with that. The Texans are on the board, and let's see who they've drafted. Again, so a lot of people are starting to say, hey, Davis Mills isn't going to be enough. We got CJ Stroud for that. We also got Myles Murphy, and honestly, this team doesn't need exactly that much. Weapons, sure, but the more I think about it, I'm not exactly a huge fan of grabbing another weapon here for them. I want to grab a potential stud in Brian Bresee, and a lot of people know that I'm not a big Brian Bresee guy. He looked lazy. He's consistently injured, and overall, I wasn't impressed. He came back this year after about a year of being off, and looks a lot more explosive. He looks like he's worked on his packages, and his toolkit overall is much more refined, and that's great. I'm a big fan of giving guys second chances. Jordan Davis is one of them. He looked like a fat ass on the field, and when you see him test the way he did, when you see how in his face you can tell how much weight he's lost, not even just the weight, the amount of fat he loses, that's pure dedication. So I'm more than willing to give some love to players like Brian Bresee, to Jordan Davis. Those guys are just defensive linemen too. But it's at a low value position. I'm still willing to give them some love. A lot of people are overhyping Bresee, in my opinion, but, to each his own. The Patriots are on the board. Tackle is a legitimate concern. Isaiah Wynns, I think, allowed 11 pressures on the year, and it's been 2 games. Not great. But regardless, he might have let up less than that. He has an awkwardly high amount of pressures allowed. I just looked at this earlier. But, wide receiver to me is still a concern, and there are some really good players here. And I know that this might not exactly add anything new, but Raheem Jarrett, so even against SMU, he was targeted 3 times, caught it twice, and went 65 yards and a touchdown. He just is lightning in a bottle, and I kind of want to take advantage of using that lightning in a bottle. Pick number 38, you got the Jets. And the Jets, I would still look at a defensive interior for them, but we're not going to do that. I think Brian Branch, using him as just a versatile DB to put anywhere, is kind of the best case scenario. I believe we've already went offensive line for you guys with Peter Skoronski, and we have. So for me, when I analyze this team, obviously quarterback needs to finally hit. Like Zach Wilson needs to get his head and ass wired together because most of the offense, if you get a tackle, can perform at a high enough level to be championship caliber. That's a hot take, but I legitimately believe that. Now, tight end is another position I'd like to target, so that is a potential option here. So again, we already got tackle. Now, Laken Tomlinson has not been very good since coming here. I think that could be a time thing. I think he can boost over time. Now, defensively, linebacker's a legit concern, and I would like to address that. However, I don't know if Henry Teotio, who is an option still, is going to be the guy who answers that. Now, I think free agency is a great spot for it, especially since this is a shit linebacker class. But I want to play with the idea of getting a potential safety here as well. So looking at safeties, you do have Brian Branch, who is a free safety, slot corner, boundary corner hybrid, who would be awesome to have on the field. He is best player available, in my opinion. Now, you could, again, go tight end, but there are so many guys here that in the third, if you end up with like Dalton Kincaid as a guy who's a slot tight end, I wouldn't be too mad. So for me, looking at it, I think that I actually do kind of want to go Brian Branch and say, hey, we don't have a role for you just yet, but I do know that I want you out on the field and I want you playing in every single way possible because he's an athletic freak and you can never get too many DBs on the field. Pick number 39, we got the Panthers who went Andre Carter in round 1, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's true because I already had a talk with a Panthers fan about it. Yes, we did. I love Andre Carter with all my heart. This is a good spot to take a shot on a quarterback. I'm not going to do it. I mean, Will Levis would be the guy who would be the high ceiling guy, but Tanner McKee is an amazing leader. I don't know if he exactly offers more than what you already have, but I will just say this. He does give you potential for it. You know, you already kind of know that Baker, based on the way he's playing at this moment, again, it's week 2, post week 2, we'll see how he performs. I'm praying that I don't ever have to take a QB for you guys, but if he continues playing the way he does, getting a quarterback probably is the right move. And Tanner McKee has potential to be a really good quarterback. Now, is he championship caliber? No, that's why he's the second round pick right now. But we'll see. I mean, he could definitely develop over the year as well. He beat cancer at 16 years old, guys. Like 16 is incredible. So big fan of Tanner McKee there. You got the New York Giants at pick number 40. And I believe we got AR-15 here. We did. And again, if he has another bad week, we're dropping him to about this range because you can't deal with the crap that he's been doing. But I'm giving him one more shot in the first, and it might bite me in the ass, to be completely blunt. Now, tight end I think would be a good option personally, and Kyle Rudolph was a target that they used to go after because they like someone who can block. Saquon might be the focal point of the offense in the short term. Michael Mayer is a guy who I think would be a great fit at this moment. He's not my number one tight end. He's a good tight end, but the fact is he's not very good at getting open. You just see guys locking him up one-on-one all the time. That's not a big thing for me. But if you get the ball in his hands, he's a train. He's like Pat Freiermuth. I think Pat Freiermuth might have been a little bit better with the ball in his hands, but Michael Mayer is still an absolute stud. Big fan of that team and that fit. So, pick number 41, we have the Cardinals, who went probably after a corner in round 1, and we got him Keely Ringo. So, looking at the guys available, I want to potentially, I think getting a running back is not a bad option here, because there are some studs in this class, and there's a guy who deserves all the love in the world. His name's Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, you're going to be getting Jahmyr Gibbs, who has 4.2 speed, with Kyler Murray in that backfield, Hollywood Brown. This team's going to be absolutely electric. Rondale Moore, it exactly fits, too. That's the thing. It does fit what the Cardinals are trying to do. He'll only have 1 year of starting at Alabama, so I do think that some teams will be like, I'd rather see 2 years of production before we draft him compared to some of the other guys. But ultimately, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is an absolute stud. Pick 42, we have the Cowboys, who I think might have went after a wide receiver in round 1. They went Jackson Smith-Njigba. There we go. So, on the same page. So, I think that's a good move for this franchise. Again, wide receiver room, surprisingly, is extremely, extremely thin. So looking at other options for the team, again, guard is something that I would want to look at. It's not a good guard class, everybody. It's just not. It's really not. I would look potentially at maybe some defensive interior guys to add into that group to just to bolster it. Tyler Davis is a guy who I like because he can both be on the inside and out. He's very explosive. He's very dangerous. I think that would be a good option for the team. Now, a lot of people also say edge rushers, not a bad position to go. And there are some really good ones here. And BJ Ojulari is one that comes to mind because he just had a 6 pressure game. The guy is just going off right now. He is a physical freak, as the Ojulari brothers are. And so we're going to do it. They went after an LSU linebacker, Jabril Cox, a couple years ago. They're going back to LSU to get their freakiest player in BJ Ojulari. Now, we went guard with Osiris Torrance here for the Jaguars. I still think that they could try to get a better option than Evan Ingram at tight end, but we're just going to leave it as is. This is going to be a good time to go after a wide receiver, and unfortunately, there's a lot of them that have already gone. But somebody who is on the stock up list and doing very well, I mean, granted, it was against, Vanderbilt, but A.T. Perry is 6'5", very dynamic, very versatile, and I think that would be a really fun option to give this team a potential 6'5" number 1 receiver on the boundary. Now, it is true you guys do not draft wide receivers very often, but we're going to take a shot. We're taking a shot at getting a guy like A.T. Perry who could really be a difference maker for your team. Pick number 44, we have the Saints on the board. And in the first round, we didn't get anything for the Saints because, they trade up for Chris Olave. So when looking at the Saints, quarterback definitely is on my mind. And Will Levis is here. I think you just have to take a shot on it. Jameis Winston at the moment just is not the long-term answer. That's why you gave him a 2-year deal. It's the perfect guy for Will Levis to sit behind and be able to actually learn how to play the position. Both of them crazy arms, but Jameis has progressed as in terms of his mental game to be able to actually be an effective quarterback. That's what Will Levis should strive to be. So I'm not a big fan of Will Levis, but no matter, I think that he's going to be perfectly fine if he's able to learn from a great mentor. Pick number 45, Washington Commanders are on the board. First round, I think we might win after a corner. We did Garrett Williams. I love Garrett Williams. Big fan of Garrett Williams. But this team doesn't need much. That's the thing. You could go running back and try to get a power back, but you got Brian Robinson from last year. And I pray he makes a speedy recovery from obviously being shot. That's kind of crazy. And hopefully, again, he does get well soon. This team does not need much. Linebacker with Henry To'oTo'o probably is the highest ceiling guy that I can see. Again, I still think that it's worth trying to take a shot for these guys. And yeah, you could go after a safety here for sure. But I don't know. I don't know if Jalen Catalon's the guy who I want. Again, I'm forgetting the name of it, but there's like a certain name for this type of safety that you guys are looking for. And you drafted somebody in the 4th round. It's not Dane Belton because I really like Dane Belton. But you drafted someone to be able to replace that. And I don't know if that's exactly the case. But Henry To'oTo'o is the best player available. He's very coachable. He's very hardworking. He's progressed every single year of his career. He's definitely somebody who I would want on my franchise. So good for him. Pick number 46, we have the Titans, and we probably went after a tackle in round 1. It makes sense. Yeah, we went Anton Harrison there. Surprisingly, actually, Taylor Lewan's let up 0 pressures all year, but I think he got hurt. So RIP to that. But speaking of getting hurt, this edge core, if I'm not mistaken, is always injured. So it's time to get some more juice going for him. And Darrell Shami, someone who I actually want to potentially look at. Again, he is just really freaky. So is Nolan Smith, but Darrell Shami has 30 pounds on Nolan Smith and is probably even more athletic. Derek Hall's a beast. Big fan of him. ZTF he's been very wonky. He put up like 0 pressures versus Portland State. Really weird. We're going to go Darrell Shami. Just somebody, again, you're going back to the Maryland. You got Chig last year. Now you're getting Darrell Shami. Like, this guy, he is really good. He has that potential. I gave him a 3rd round grade to start out. But, again, he has that athletic build that is just freaky. And if you start putting it together which you could behind Harold Landry as well as Bud Dupree, this guy has potential in 2 years being a top 10 edge rusher if he hits right. It's going to be that Trevon Walker effect. If you hit, you hit. And I think Darrell Shami has a much better chance than Isaiah Foskey at doing that. Pick 47, we have the Colts on the board, and I think we drafted a tackle in the first for him. Am I tripping balls? Oh, I dropped him, right? We got Broderick Jones. Great choice. That, honestly, in my opinion, great choice. I'm like reacting to my own mock live. I know. Very cringe. But corner is a position I want to target here. There's a bunch of really good options here. I'm going to go Clark Phillips. I love his versatility. You can put him anywhere. And he is worth a first-round pick to me. He is a lockdown corner. Just the size is a bit of a concern. Pick 48, you have the Raiders on the board. And again, apologies for continuing to scroll back. I want to remind everyone, this is Paris Johnson. So this is another team that I think could use a corner. And when you look at it, Caillou Blue Kelly, I don't think is worth a second-round pick. So I might hold off in terms of getting one. Because again, it's just not the best player available. So let's look at other positions, and we already got offensive tackle. You could go after an offensive guard here. Like John Michael Schmitz could be a good option, but actually Andre James has been performing better than, well, most people at that center position. So, good for him. Proud of him for doing that. I'm going to go running back. We're going to change it up a little bit. Devon Achane would be fun, but I love this fit. Sean Tucker in a Raiders uniform is just such a baller. I'm a big fan. Again, Sean Tucker actually has had a pretty poor game this year. I think he had 50 yards in the last game that I was really hoping for him to do better. But again, this guy is pretty much a 200-yard rushing game machine, and I think that he could really be special at the next level. So the Steelers are on the board at pick 49. Pretty sure we went after, did we go Jory Porter for him? No. We went after Jalen Jones. So we already went 1 DB. I think offensive line would not be a bad option. Surprisingly, we've only let up 10 pressures all year. So the offensive line is performing much better than expected. Granted, we're probably not passing as much. But looking at other options here, we do need to look at defensive interior, like whether I like it or not. Tyler Davis would be a freak. I'm just a huge fan of Tyler Davis, guys. I have an early third on him. Edge rusher would not be too bad given the fact that we have had consistent injuries out there on the edge. And there are some really crazy guys here. And I think I actually might do that. This is obviously not the most logical pick in the world, but I think ZTF developing under TJ Watt is probably the best case scenario. He's somebody who I'm really wanting to see more out of, but that's somebody who's shown the potential to really, really step his game up and be an absolute baller. So, Steelers with ZTF could definitely be a big home run. Pick 50 for the Seahawks. Again, we got Eli Ricks as well as Bryce Young as well as Noah Sewell. It's a team, again, I'll be looking to trade some of these picks because you don't really have much of a need for them. But I'm actually going to go someone who's not on this list. I'm going to draft a Lusagoon here, but that is going to be Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia. Again, somebody who has a lot of potential. He's worth a second-round pick. That's where we're going to put him. Pick 51 for the Lions. And the Lions, actually, I don't even remember who we drafted in the moment. We got Quentin Johnson as well as Antonio Johnson. So we got true number 1 as well as a defensive back. I wish Henry Teotio were still here, but I'm actually going to draft another linebacker. It's not Justin Flo. His name is Mikel Jones out of Syracuse. He does have a lot of potential. He's been able to put up some pressures. The dude's been, He's been performing very well all year long. Got to show him a little bit of love. He was on my stock up watch list for this last week. Pick 52, we have the Dolphinos, and you guys have Greg Little starting a tackle. I don't know how long I could mentally stand thinking about that. So we're going to draft a tackle here. Zion Nelson's not the guy who I'm drafting. He's another shell. But it's Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. He's someone who can play left or right tackle. I think he's playing right tackle this year right now. So it fits perfectly, and I had a second-round grade on him. This is a team that just really needs to try to fix that tackle spot because everything else is essentially really good. I know a lot of you guys are crying for corner, but you have two guys getting paid almost $20 million a year, and you have some really good depth pieces there. So I would say have some patience with that, because again, your defense is actually really good. It's probably just trying to find its identity. But pick number 53, we have the Vikings. And again, in the first round, it's been a little while since we did the draft. In the first round, we went... Where the hell did we go with the Vikings? I'm tripping balls. We went Tyree Stevenson. There we go. So we went after Pat Pete 2.0. I'm a big fan of that one personally. I think tight end is a good option here, and you have such great options for you. And when you look at somebody who is very blessed offensively, I think Jaheim Bell or Sam Laporta are the guys who I want to target. Eric Gilbert's fun, but Jaheim Bell is someone who could just really be a game changer, and Sam Laporta is just going to be super consistent and at a very high level. Either way, these guys, at least one of these three, two of these three, are gone within the next 2 picks. I'm going to draft a tight end, most likely for the Bengals. So for me, if I'm sitting there, I'm the Vikings. I want a guy who also can perform in the North. Sam Laporta is just a baller to me. He's my number 1 tight end in the class. Stop sleeping on him. He's an absolute freak, so I'm a big fan. And this one, again, you just need to, God help Joe Burrow. The tackles have just been no bueno, but nobody at this point is going to upgrade it. So I'm looking at Eric Gilbert and Jaheim Bell. Eric Gilbert just has so much potential that it's hard to say no to him. But Jaheim Bell could just be utilized so well in open space. We'll go Eric Gilbert. We'll go the super high ceiling route and say, hey, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we're not very far from where we were. The Niners are on the board, and when you do look at what the Niners could bring to the table, I'm a fan of going after center at this point because I really don't like the center. John Michael Schmitz is a monster in the run game, and I think that they like these northern schools, these Big Ten schools, to get those interior offensive linemen. John Michael Schmitz, not the prettiest pick, but he is actually in my top 50. He has a lot to show, and he has a lot to love about him too. Big fan of John Michael Schmitz. The Rams, Joseph Noboom's been absolute butt cheeks, so I'm going to continue the boring trend and go Blake Freeland here. I'm a big fan of what Blake Freeland could be. Javon Foster is above him, but I think Blake Freeland fits the Rams just a little bit more. So, got to show some love where it need to be. The Packers are sitting here. Now, I think this is another team that could use a tackle like Javon Foster, but they don't run the scheme that Javon Foster is best at. That doesn't mean you don't take him, because it could be BPA, but when you have a tight end like Jaheim Bell on the board, you can't say no. You can't. What did we draft in the first round, by the way? We drafted Jermaine Burton. So yeah, you do need to revamp the offense if you do end up losing Aaron Rodgers, or at least him being really pissy about it. Jaheim Bell is going to be probably his favorite target, just because of the fact that when the ball's in his hands, he is the one who makes the yards. He doesn't just get the yards, he makes them himself. So I'm a huge fan of Jaheim Bell. Pick 58, we have the Chiefs on the board. And again, honestly, I kind of want to just continue giving them weapons. We went, oh, Jesus Christ. We went Bijan in the first. You have to be kidding me. That's where I was thinking about adding more weaponry to them, but they don't need it. I'm going to get some extra edge help here. This is where I'm stuck between Foskey and Hall, because, again, Felix is good. He's really good, but he just doesn't have that pop to him. I would honestly go Derek Hall here, but we'll show some love to Foskey. He has a much higher ceiling, so if he ends up hitting it, it's worth it. If he doesn't, you still have a really good edge group. Pick number 59 for the Chargers. Now, in the first round, we went probably Gervon Dexter, and we did. Awesome. Now, this is a spot where I'd actually want to go for another wide receiver. Josh Downs is a great option, but I'm actually going to go after a different player. His name's Zay Flowers out of Boston College. He can play on the boundary or the inside, and he's very dynamic. He's the guy who made me put Andrew Booth as a second-round pick rather than a first. So, if you can do that, I'm going to show you some love. Pick number 60, we have the, I said the Ehawks, the Eagles. I don't even know what, I'm tripping balls. The Eagles, in first round, we went after Will McDonald as well as Joey Porter. I'm a big fan of that. So now we're actually going to be able to get an absolute guy who, again, lightning in a bottle. Devon A-Chain, 4.24 speed. Guy's been developing and actually being able to break more tackles. This could be someone who just absolutely unlocks Jalen Hurts to his biggest potential and puts this team truly over the top. Ravens at pick 61. In the first, we targeted Cam Smith. Great choice in my opinion. Dante Demas, if he did not only get 5 yards against SMU, would have been a fun option here at 6'3". Cedric Tillman is a guy who I would consider. So it's definitely someone who I want to put on the back burner. But I want to draft the best player available. And to me, that guy is Derek Hall. He has so much potential as an edge rusher 3. Nolan Smith is going to get a lot of hype from people. I'm just not that high on him personally. But Nolan Smith's a good player. Like, no shame about it. Like, he is a good player. I'm just not going to show the love that maybe some of you guys would want me to. Pick number 62. The Buccaneers, Dotson is not, like, he had 10 snaps and let up 3 pressures. I'm going to still draft a tackle for a backup. I mean, I don't care. I'm going to do it just because offensive line is that key, and Javon Foster deserves that level of respect. Last, but certainly not least, the Buffalo Bills got J.L. Skinner, monster safety in round 1. So, for this pick, I think that we could look at a tight end. You could, because Dalton Kincaid is a slot wide receiver built with a tight end frame. Or we could look at getting maybe another weapon. I really like this Dalton Kincaid move. Because I don't think you want to go running back. You could get Blake Corum. That'd be such a monster. Him and James Cook. Whew. Because you guys don't exactly have someone who I really think can power through the gut. I know Devin Singletary's there, but there's something special about Blake Corum. I think he just had like 5 touchdowns in the last game too. We're going to do it. We're going to send it. Full send. Yeah, I mean, you could go guard there, but this is just not a good guard class. So that's going to be the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and always supporting as usual. See you guys on the far side. Peace.